Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another exciting episode of Frail Conversations. And as today, as you've seen from the title, we're going to talk about decision making. Last week, I talked about choices, the episode on options, choices, and decisions. Yesterday's episode, well, not yesterday. I'm saying that because I recorded it yesterday. Uh, Wednesday's episode, by the time you're hearing this, it'll be Wednesday's episode. So Wednesday's episode, I mentioned, of course, having a full episode, but I decided not to have a full episode for one, because I realized that choices and options and choices, that episode was impromptu pop-up number one. I don't even know how far back that was. That was impromptu pop-up number one. So you already know we way back for that. So it is overdue. But what we're going to be talking about now, and when I did that original episode, it was more so from a perspective of universality. I want to cater this decision making solely towards masculinity. This is a conversation, so it's directly towards us as the brothers, as men. And I feel like decision making is a very important topic that we need to talk about, because decision making is largely one of the quintessential pieces that quote unquote make us a man according to societal standards. And by societal standards, I mean protect, provide, uh, accountability, responsibility. These things are largely tied to decision making. But we have to, as men, there's a threshold that we got to cross through when we become a decision maker, right? A decision maker is different, because we got to think about the levels, right? Y'all know I break down a lot of shit according to levels and different things like that. But if we actually look at the options, choices, and decision setup, decisions will be the final point. But being a decision maker is a powerful sentiment. It is it is something that is deeply rooted within a lot of people. I ain't gonna say a lot of people. It's something that's deeply rooted naturally within men that kind of can petrify you, because your ability to make decisions, right? And your capacity to make decisions and the depth you're able to make decisions require a lot. This is why I always talk about analysis and deconstruction, because your decision making is going to be tied directly to analysis, your ability to analyze and deconstruct, which ultimately is tied to what? Your masculinity. So when we consider our decision making skills, right? One thing that we really have to learn to do as men is trust ourselves. One thing we have to learn to do as men, as black men, is be confident in what we're trusting. You feel what I'm saying? As black men, not even black men, period, but black people as a whole, we have a mantra that, if you're darker, work harder, right? A lot of us have been programmed that, because we're black, we have to work twice as hard to get half as much. A lot of motherfuckers have bought into that notion, and that is a reality. You'll be putting in a lot of work. So it's like your decision making has to factor, our decision making has to factor that in, which fucks with our trust, ability to trust ourselves, which fucks with our ability to not only trust ourselves, but to trust our people, to trust our decisions that we are making for the greater good, right? Options are choices, options are decisions already decided on. Choices are decisions already decided on, right? But they're decisions already decided on for you. That doesn't necessarily mean they're good or bad for you. There's somebody that decided, hey, look, y'all can bicker and argue, but here's the decision I'm going to make about this particular thing, and now y'all can have it, right? The decision maker is the person that can usually bring something to an end, bring clarity, bring a lot. For a lot of men, that is a burden. For a lot of us as brothers, that is a heavy burden, because a lot of us never seen decision making happen. We seen motherfuckers pick options. We sparingly seen people make choices, but we rarely seen people make decisions. And I know it seems like if you're picking an option, you're making a decision. If your decision making is so much bigger, because it has layers to it. And because it has so many different layers to it, this is why I saved this so frail conversations, because I feel like it's more pertinent to men, especially a lot of the arguments and shit that we going through these days now, where, you know, man got to go half, go whole. There's a lot of things that have to go into the decision of what it is to be a man, and to be the type of man, and be the type of man that everybody wants to, you want to be dependent on. You want to be that type of man, but it requires you to have a certain level of decision making that can't be wavered, They can't be shaken. They can't be broken. But before we dive heavy into that, be sure to follow me on Instagram at underscore just underscore scene underscore. Be sure to check out my website at iamjustseen.com to get all things that are just seen. To all those who tip, donate, and sponsor to the podcast, you are greatly appreciated. To all those who would like to tip, donate, and sponsor to the podcast, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of the podcast. Not this episode, but the podcast itself. And as always, Cash App and PayPal are just fine. So you know the vibes. That's that for this and that's this for that. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to dive into so frail conversations, decision making. And don't forget to visit iamjustseen.com. There, you can get all things just seen. You want to add the So Frail series to your library? Visit iamjustseen.com. You want to learn how to master the markets for serious trading and investing? Visit iamjustseen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit iamjustseen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit iamjustseen.com. You ever want to just chat with Scene about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit iamjustseen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at iamjustseen.com. So take a quick peek into my world to see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it, and you will never see it unless you visit iamjustseen.com. All right. Welcome back. You already know what's gonna come next. But yeah, without further ado, I want to go ahead and get started. But before we dive heavy into it, let me go ahead and set the tone for what the fuck I'm talking about before y'all try to say, that's not where we're going. I know where I'm going with this, and I know what the fuck I want to talk about. When it comes to decision making, right? We need to first break down and be on the same page of what we mean by making a decision, right? So a decision, etymologically, right, according to the 1550s and all of that's 1550s, a lot of words were created and invented, but I ain't gonna talk about shit like that. This is not what we talk about. Anywho, the meaning, right, and the etymology of decision is the quality of being decided in character, ability to make prompt determinations, right? Two of the most important pieces of that etymological breakdown was first, character. Second, to make prompt determinations, right? When it comes to making a decision, one of the largest factors is time. Coming off of this episode, we talked about time being an illusion, where, location, all of that stuff. It's going to affect this episode in some way, a little bit. So, one of the things that we look at when it comes to decision making is time, right? As men, our ability to make decisions is rooted in judgment, right? That was another piece of that etymological word. If I didn't break it down or not, because it wasn't in another part, but I used that specific part because that's the tone that I'm going with. Yeah. So one of the etymological breakdowns is final judgment or opinion in the case, and then the meaning of quality of being decided in character, ability to make prompt determinations. That character and prompt determinations are the most important pieces because like I said, this goes with time. But character is who you are, right? I think a lot of times we don't pay attention to character. Like when we think about character, we think about cartoon characters, we think about shit like that, but we don't think about the full totality of a character. And I would look at the word, but I'm already flowing. That was the decision because that's what I was talking about, was where I was going with this. But when we look at character is the role you play in a specific scene, right? We're going to say that the role you play in a specific scene. The specific scene that you're playing the character in right now is life. Action, it was on the moment you came out the womb. Been rolling ever since. You're the character. Now your character is, cliche in school. Character is what you do when no one's looking. That's not fully all the way character, but character is who you are mostly in the comfort of yourself, right? That's the real motherfucker. The character isn't the person you behave as very, very well. The person who has achieved the character is who the fuck you really are when the lights are out. Right? The only person that truly knows the full totality of us is us. Nobody knows us that well. Nobody will ever know us that well because there's still points that we do not share with the world, that we do not share with those close to us. You dig what I'm saying? There's shit that I've gone through in life that my siblings don't even know about yet. And I doubt they ever will. You know what I'm saying? And there's things that life has presented to you that nobody will ever know. But those things are part of your character. Those are the things that set the tone for your integrity. Those are the things that set the tone for your capacity to make decisions, right? Now we know that decisions are based off of your character in conjunction with making a prompt assertion on something, right? You got to act. There's no thought about it. The thing about a decision is that the thought has already been done. Everything has already been factored. The decision is bam. Here we go. One of the reasons why, as men and my brothers, this is one of the things that we really have to take in wholeheartedly is that when it comes to decision making, whether we're willing to admit it or not, because of the burden that has been placed on us to be protector. Fuck provider right now. The burden that has been placed to put, well, provider will tie into this, but the burden that's placed upon us to be a provider gives us a deeper fear of, we have a deep rooted fear of our decision making skills. When you're tasked with protecting something and providing for it for the most part, but when you're tasked with these two things, you cannot afford to make a bad decision. If you're protecting something, your decision is off, it can mean life or death. For a lot of us as men, we may have heard that so long, but we don't realize that at some point as a child, that fear shut down in us, and we had to keep figuring like there's been a repressed expression within our deepest levels of of unconscious and subconscious mind about making the wrong decision as a protector and provider. Some say, they laugh and they say it's okay when men are perfectionists. They say it's this when men have this, like, because I think I was watching, I know that it's weird. I don't even know how it came on, but the lesson was in that motherfucker. I was watching Barbara Streisand do something. They was giving her an interview on something. It was like, "Are you a perfectionist?" She said, "Yes, I am a perfectionist." And he was like, "Well, why do you have to be so perfect?" She said, "If I was a man, you wouldn't be asking me that question." She said, "As a man, it's almost defaulted that you're a perfectionist." You know what I mean? She's like, you can't afford to do anything wrong. As a woman, I can afford to make mistakes. I can afford to do things. I can afford not to be perfect at what I do. She said, but does that mean I'm not going to be perfect? She said, no, I'm going to strive to be perfect because that's what I do. She's like, and then when she said, like I said, when she was like, if I were a man, you wouldn't even be asking me that question. And that's like, wow. As men, now we're going into protection and provision. We got to go into leadership. Everybody ain't a leader. Right? You got leaders, you got motherfuckers in the front. You know when you're dealing with a true leader because you don't know where the fuck that motherfucker's at. The whole scene can move because this motherfucker is in position. You feel me? You got leaders and you got motherfuckers in the front. It's a lot of motherfuckers in the front thinking that they're leaders, and it's a lot of people watching motherfuckers in the front thinking that that's the leader. It's not necessarily the case. It's not necessarily the case. The leader is the one who has sound decision making skills that can affect the entire group positively. Now I get it. You have motherfuckers that are going to be impacted negatively by a decision that you make. That's okay. Everybody's not going to benefit from that. But you cannot allow your decision making skills to fuck you up or to petrify you or to make you afraid. You dig what I'm saying? Whether you're a natural leader or not, when you start a family, you're the leader of that family as the man. Now you can co-lead with your wife or your lady or however it is, but at the end of the day, you are the leader because naturally protection and provision, that's what it is. But it's deeper than that. Your ability to lead is directly tied to your decision-making skills. That's a burden women don't understand. That's a burden women will never have to take on. Single women, the single mothers, right? Not the co-parenters, the single mothers who's actually raising the baby. They have a little bit different understanding of that because now when we talk about women always talking about, I'm tired of walking in my masculine. A lot of women are choosing to walk in the masculine energy and they think they have to, but they don't because they're making the choice to. But what's deeper than that is women have difficulty making decisions. That's why that task and that role is not given to them. Now, granted, y'all know I'm big on equality. I'm big on harmony. I'm big on things. There's things that women can naturally lead at that I can't. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I'm the decision maker because making decisions is a masculine thing. This is why I always talk about masculinity being so connected to principles. You can't make a decision when you have too many details. But this is why I also say we're under toxic femininity and masculinity is gone. What they keep trying to tell you is toxic masculinity is not. It's toxic femininity exhibited by men. Our decision making is fucked up, right? And because our decision making is fucked up, our leadership skills are trash. Because our leadership skills are trash, our ability to protect and provide is going to be obsolete. So we need, go half. Now, this is not a shot towards the brothers who decide to go half. I fucks with you. I fucks with you. For me, I'm about 100 We put it together. That's literally half of our contribution to the relationship if we're still going 100%. So 50-50 is a reality. But when women hear that, because women feel before they think, men think before they feel. So our conversation is already off, especially when we're irritated with each other. But when women hear that, they don't understand the burden of making a decision. Women struggle making decisions and can't fathom that a man can have a deep rooted issue with making a decision. When I talk to the women who say that they no longer want to be in a masculine, what they really don't want is to make decisions. That's a problem because they don't want to be adults. But low key, we're not, what I mean? We're not going to spend too much time on that. But when people don't want to walk in the masculine, they don't want to be decision makers. If it's your life, you have to make the decision for it. When you give somebody else the power to make decisions for your life, you low key, you're giving up your humanity. Right. But again, like I said, what they don't want us to understand and they don't want us to come to terms with is that large part of our masculinity is our decision making. Now, here's where shit gets fucked up because this is where you get to the only the strong survive because nobody learns how to make decisions. We learn how to pick options and we get the confidence of picking an option, but we don't know how to make a decision. The first point in learning how to make a decision is living with the consequences that come after that decision. If the first time you've made a decision in your life, a major decision, not like the biggest purchases, I've learned this, like the biggest purchases you're ever going to make in your life are your house and your car. Those are decisions. You know how many people have remorse after they buy a house or buy a car because they didn't make a decision they bought what was an option to them. They didn't make a definitive decision based off of everything that was there. Right. And I'm using this because as men, our decision making skills, being accountable and being held responsible for our decision making skills starts as a kid, right? Early. Why? Because respect is to men what love is to women, but respect is earned. Every decision you make is tied to respect, period. If we look at it from the mirror's perspective, every decision that women make, as crazy as it is, but every decision that women make is out of love. Every decision that a woman makes is out of love. When a woman makes a decision, it is because love is there in some way, shape, or form, positive or negative. You feel what I'm saying? Right or wrong, she's making that decision out of love. Krishan is a perfect example of that. Blueface girlfriend. Like every decision that she makes is out of love. Now she's in love with a fucked up dysfunction. That's why the reality manifests this way. But it's why they're like, yo, why can't she leave him alone? Well, love is different. Love is different. You feel me? It makes you do different things. But what love is to women is what is respect to men. So our decision making, like I said, so every decision that a woman makes is predicated out of love. What she can do, what she's going to do in her life to be loved by a man. Think about it. She's beautiful. She carries herself a certain way. There's a certain standard of beauty. She has to dress a certain way, look a certain way, eat a certain way, cook a certain way. There's so many things, decisions that she has to make in a day that are going to be substantiated off of the love that she is supposed to receive from a man down the line. Us, on the other hand, our decisions are about how well we're going to be respected in the world. Now, I don't want to say for women, I don't want to say the love of a man, but love in general. Women do shit out of love. Familial love, no matter what it is, platonic love, intimate love, they do shit out of love because women are love driven. It's part of being masculine, feminine. You feel me? The catalyst for synthesis and construction is love. The catalyst for analysis and deconstruction is respect. You feel what I'm saying? So when our respect is tied to our decision making, every decision we make is something that is going to get us respect. The way we dress, the way we talk, you feel me? The majors we take up, the shit we learn in school, the shit we don't learn in school, the shit we participate in, the shit we don't participate in. It's all about a decision. The burden that every decision you make is about getting you loved. Anybody can love you. I'm using both dynamics so we can get the extreme. For women, right? They can be loved by any. If a woman is not loved by her peers, or like she can have a child. Now, granted, that doesn't always guarantee love is going to be there, but in some way, shape, or form, she can create the love that she can create, have a decision to create the love that she needs if she needs it. We necessarily don't have that same luxury to just to snap our fingers and create our respect. Whatever grants us our respect is something that we have to continually make solid decisions for, that we don't see the fruits for a long period of time. This is why most quote unquote established men are not established until they're in their 40s. By 20s and 30s, you still in the space making the right decisions to gain the right respect. You're not respected until you're in your 40s. Like legit, it's wild, but like I said, it's tied to your decision making because respect is earned for us. We have to earn our respect from the moment we're born, right? The moment we can talk, the moment we can walk, and it's all predicated off how well we can make decisions. Now, decision making, decision making is heavily tied to, like I said, your character for one, and the capacity to be prompt in that decision. It's no thought. Do it. The reason why decisions are just like people think it's impulsive, you act and shit like that. No, 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 no. It's because decision is the final point. You have an option, you have a choice, then you have a decision. All of these things are created by you or created by something. Decisions are the things that you have broken down and put certain metrics to and created certain rubrics and certain circumstances to make this a decision. Say, this is what I'm going to do. Here's why decision making, real decision making, is hard because it's predicated off choices that you created. One of the hardest things to do is to decide on a choice that you made, but all of the choices work. Now, when they tell you to weigh your options out, you feel me? Weigh your options out. What do you have, right? You weigh your options out. You say, I can go with this, I can go with this, I can go with this, right? That's an option. For example, weighing your options out if you're hungry. You're like, I want a burger. What are your options? I can go to Burger King, McDonald's, um, depending on where you are, Carl Jr. or Hardee's, right? Just off the top of the head, I'm using those three because you want a burger. Those are the options you have. But when you say, I want a burger, I'm trying not to laugh, y'all. Fucking had to let it go. I thought about, you feel me? I got a McDonald's burger from Eddie Murphy when you talking about with the bell peppers and shit sticking out. But those are good ass fucking burgers, don't get me wrong. But now that's when you make the choice. A choice is when you say, I want a burger, but this is what I want this burger to have on it. I want it to have these seasonings. I want it to have these ingredients. I want it to be cooked this long. I want it to be made on this bread. I want it to be this, that, and third. That's when you're starting to make the choice and you create it yourself. Now your decision, we're going to take it to another level since we're talking about food. Decision making is when you're a chef and you're having to create a menu. Every flavor, every taste is you creating that shit. Right? You created it all, but now it's like, what do I want my menu to be? That's when you make a decision. And it's like, I don't give a fuck what people crave, what people say. I can't do that. I have to make a decision to clear out the fluff. This ties into masculinity on the esoteric level or esoteric level, however you pronounce it. This ties to masculinity on that level because we know that masculinity and femininity are both 360 degrees, right? As far as consciousness goes. Masculinity is the finite, making it square, and femininity is the circle, the infinite, making the circle, right? Decision making is finite. That's it. There's no other option to that we have to think about in this. There's no more that, and that's why decisions are so bad because, well, not bad, but so hard to overcome because not only do I have to make the decision, I have to maneuver through life with the consequences this decision reverberates with. That's a part of reality that I can't see because I have to continually analyze and deconstruct my world to see what's going to happen a week after this decision. What's going to happen a month after the decision? What's going to happen happen a year after this, a decade, half a century, generations? What are these decisions that I'm making going to do and reverberate in the long run? How many of us of men have had a moment where we sat down with a big man, with a father figure, another man or anything, who's had a conversation with us about decision making? Real legit fucking decision making of how and the burden that we have to actually that we don't even know that we're oblivious to. We know on the inside we got to make decisions. It ain't no ifs, ands, and maybes about that shit. We know that. We make decisions all the time, but the problem is we don't know the backside of making decisions and living with it. There's a direct correlation between our inability to make decisions and the belief that boys will be boys. You get better at making decisions not when you continually make decisions, but then when you deal with the aftermath of your decisions. Dealing with the aftermath of your decisions is what separates the boys from the men, and more importantly, separates the men from the gods. Even greater than that, it separates the gods from the titans. You've heard it. You've seen me post it on social media. I don't do it. I'm like, tighten up, gods, because there's levels to this shit now. There's levels to masculinity. We know titans created the gods, gods created men, men created boys. It's levels. But when we're told boys will be boys and we're titans on the inside, you're not making no sound decisions. Now, that's the thing about making a sound decision. Sound decisions are, and I think I was talking about this in the illusion episode, where I was talking about how the things that you do in the past, your past is designed for you to go back to it and see what future was created off that event. Granted, at the moment you're reminiscing or you're going back. That's why meditation is important. I get into that. But at the moment you're recollecting or you're going back onto a specific subject, everything is in the past. But at some point, a part of that past is a future of that moment. How did that moment register and signify everything else? Because that moment is how you need to start learning how to think before you act. It helps with your decision making skills because now you're like, bam, this isn't to say dwell on the past, but this is to understand that in this past, this situation happened and it didn't take me, but it took 12 months for me to see this. So now when I'm making this decision, I have to now forecast, right? What could potentially come out of this? You feel me? What could potentially come out of this? The only time our decision making is really in position like that is when we're talking like have a baby. Like, do you want to be that way for 18? You're gonna have to deal with that for 18 years. Some motherfuckers don't think 18 years is bad because of the moment they're in right now. There's a lot of shit that has to go into our decision making that really fucks us up and it petrifies us as men. This is why I asked, at what point do you know that you became a man? That answer is simple. It is you are a man when unshakable. Nothing can deter your ability to make a decision. Not only that, but live with the outcome of that decision and transmute that decision's outcome to your favor. That's when you quote unquote have become a man. After you make the decision and it wasn't my fault. Oh, I did this. You're not there yet. You're not there yet. Everybody want to be the alpha type motherfucker because alphas, we're strong, we're mighty, we're this. I don't give a fuck about the tears or none of that shit. But I'm speaking in general of the high value alpha type shit. A lot of these motherfuckers still can't. You cannot cross that line if you can't make a decision. You feel me? How you a high value man, but you can't make the decision necessary to do high value shit in the long run. You trying to base yourself off of the shit that you did in your past. That's relative. So now you're gonna stay in a little box where only certain people can see that as powerful. There's people that are like, I did that shit worlds over. You did it wrong, to be honest with you. So whatever, but you're only gonna fuck with people who've never done it. Because your decision making now has to be revealed and it can petrify you and fuck with your ability to make decisions again. Because again, when do we as men learn how to make decisions? Not pick options, not even make choices, but when do we make a decision? Because making a decision is deeper, like I said, it's deeper than just saying, I want this. Can you live with that? and everything that comes with it. Because all of that is tied to your decision making skills that fucks you up in life. Because the first time you make a major decision about life, and the longer you've made that decision and it goes against you, can you recover from that? And can that fuck with your decision making skills? You dig what I'm saying? Walk with me for a second on this. 200th episode. I broke that down for a reason. Because, like I told you, I had to reveal that episode and tell the circumstance of the episode without anything, because there's certain things that had to come out after that. But you have to understand where I stand right now. After that moment, my decision making skills were all fucked up. Excuse me. I had a burp, but I wanted it to, marinate. I'm not even going to hold you. For a good 8 years, maybe? 8 years. No, it wasn't 8. It was 6. 6 years. By 8 years, I was definitively saying I was done dwelling on that and being afraid, but it took 6 years. 6 solid years for me to say, I can trust myself again. I didn't trust my decision making. With sound reason. I felt like, because I was like, all of these, and this is one of the things about, I was just talking about it with illusion in the illusion chapter. This is one of the things about accountability. Maybe it was a discipline. I don't know. I was talking about it, but this is one of the things with accountability and responsibility and how they tie to decision making. You dig what I'm saying? When people make a decision to do something and they got to live with it, it's different when it's what you have to live with. You dig what I'm saying? I know people all the time say, if I can go back in time, I start all over, I would. If I can go back in time, I would have did, but you can't. All you can do is redirect the future off of the same decision. That's a part of decision making skills. This shit didn't go none of the way that I wanted it to go. So if I could, I would go back in the past and never meet you or never experience this or never do this, but it happened. So I have to make the most of what's here and move forward. So, like I said, my decision making with women was fucked up. Like, but my decision making with women was fucked up. My decision making with my friends became fucked up. My decision making became so much I didn't trust myself. I stopped trusting my ability to decide on something because I thought it was my decision making skills and not a decision that I made. This is a part of seeing the aftermath of your decisions. You are not your decisions, right? This is why when you hear me talk about the solar plexus chakra and in Soul Frail 3, the solar plexus I read to, the personal identity, that is blocked by shame and pride. Shame and pride are directly correlated to your decision-making skills. You get pride in things when you make positive decision-making skills. You feel ashamed when you make this negative decision-making skills because you think you're the decision. You begin to believe that you are the decision, right? So it makes you not want to decide on things because you're like, I'm going to fuck it up. Not this one time I made the decision it fucked up, but I'm going to fuck it up. And here's one of the things that in healing that and in getting closer to that for myself that I actually had to face, because I was like, damn. And this is one of the proudest moments that I ever had about being a hoe. Like when I say I forgot my body count and all of this shit, I be fucking a lot of chicks. It's like I've never been proud of it. I've never been ashamed of it either. But this is one of the moments where I was actually proud of being a hoe. You feel me? Having all of these hoes and having all these women because I was like, I made a bad decision one time. I said, how many times have I had sex, been in sexual situations, and none of this has ever happened? So I'm not a fucked up person. You know what I'm saying? It's like my track record would have been this. I was like, this is the exception to the rule. You feel what I'm saying? It was an impactful exception to the rule, but it was an exception nonetheless. And then bringing these things together, I was like, I had to come to, like I said, by 23, that's when I decided, okay, I have to write this album. Because after I got heartbroken too, again, that fucked with. So by 17, my decision making was all fucked up. I was like, I'm scared to make a decision. I only listened to what people told me. That's when I really became a people pleaser. I never gave a fuck before, but up until then, I became a people pleaser so much so that it's like, I don't want nobody to look at me wrong. because my decision making was fucked up. That decision making, I ended up, like I said, ended up going to jail. My name was in the paper for some shit that I didn't do. Had to do the community service. It was public shame. It was shaming. It was like, damn. But I was like, I made a decision. I had to like. It took me 6 years to realize I made a decision. I'm not the decision, right? But that came from the healing of after being heartbroken. It was like, damn. I was fucked up because I was like, yo, I knew she was a hoe. I knew I shouldn't have been fucking with her. I started fucking with my decision making skills. I started to question my decision making skills. And then it was just like, I had to look at my track record. How many other decisions have I made in life? I said, prior to that, I had never been in jail. That same year, right? That same year when my homies, they ended up catching an armed robbery charge. Like I made the decision not to go with them because I knew I said something ain't right. So my decision making skills were good. I just made one bad decision. As men, we're never taught that second phase of decision making skills. Because when you make a decision, life goes on, you don't sit and reflect on it. You don't have to. When you make a good decision and everything goes the way it was supposed to go, you don't sit and reflect on it. It's not until we have bad situations that we have to go through the lesson. When you fail, you learn, right? When you win, you're supposed to learn. When you succeed, you're supposed to learn. But when we succeed, we don't learn because we don't have to because we succeeded. The goal was to get this result. I got that result. So that means the input was right. I don't have to revisit the input. It's when the output goes completely left or completely wrong that you have to go back and revisit the input. And it's sad enough that we spend more time only on our negative inputs and not enough time on our positive inputs to know how well our decision making skills can really work to not intimidate us. But it blows up out of the water. You feel me? I use myself because that was an extreme, but some people it's a relationship. It was a test to not, it was a you feel me? The decision to not study for that test and you failed, and then now you fast forward and it's like, yo, you missed passing this class by this. You dig what I'm saying? But then you have the positive side. When all through college, I used to get a lot of my grades rounded up. You feel what I'm saying? Because I was always right there. If I was like always right there, my teacher would round the shit up. Why? Because of the decisions that I made to always put and perform at a certain level, to make the decisions to make the teacher see that I'm a serious student. It's like, yo, I'm not gonna play with him. I remember one time, this was my math class, and it was trigonometry or something in college and shit. Like I fucked up. This because I wasn't taking it serious. Because I like, I said, yo, I ain't gotta do all of it, but I ain't fuck up bad because I finished the class with 89.9. Teacher just went on ahead and said, I'll give you a 90 and give you the A. I'm not gonna bullshit you and give you the B because of your point one off. That same teacher gave refused to give another student a B because they had a C because the student didn't show up and perform. I ain't say shit to the other student, but it's our decisions. Everybody keeps talking about it's the choices you make. You make better choices. It ain't the choices that you make. It's your decisions. Because your decisions, how you maneuver your decisions after you make them and what you learn from them, what you can get out of them, that will determine a lot about you. When it comes to entrepreneurship, as a man and as an entrepreneur, my decision making can't be wrong. But I don't put that pressure on myself that my decision making has to be right. True indeed, my decision making cannot be wrong, but I do not put the pressure on myself that I have to be right. When I do that, I lose. And then I can't see the other things. So when we are dealing with ourselves, when we're dealing with our nephews, our sons, you feel me? Like when we're talking to our boys, our boys have to learn how to make decisions, right? And live with those decisions. People don't understand what it is to live with your decisions. Like when I talk about the shit that I did, and when I talk, like, I remember it was about 6, 7 months ago, maybe a year. I don't know. Time blurs for me over time. But I was talking to a person about the very things that I talked about in 200th episode. You feel me? And I'm secretively not. The reason why I'm not adding shit for the 200th, I want you to go back and listen to it. Right? If you're new here, go back and listen to it. Shit, I'm not. Fuck. I don't even know what episode we're in. We're way beyond 200 at this point. So you got to go back and listen to it. So I'm not gonna allude to that because it takes away from this. You feel me? But I'm talking to them and they're like, wow, I can't believe, like, how do you just feel how are you just unbothered by it? Like, you don't even care. It's not that I don't care. I've made peace with first the circumstance, then I understand the decision that I made. And then I understand, I'm able to live with that decision based off of the life that came from that decision. That's what a lot of people have a difficulty doing. Understanding the life that comes from the decision you make. You feel what I'm saying? When I got heartbroken, when I got betrayed by my homies, all these, your life becomes something different with every experience that you have, right? Every decision you make caters your life into a certain realm. It moves your life down a certain tangent. Like we talk about, we have preordained paths and all of this shit. You do. You do. We do. We literally have a multiverse theory within ourselves. We're born, we die, and we have multiple outcomes that we can make, but they're predicated by our decisions. Every decision you make nullifies a different outcome. I mean, a different timeline. So let's say, for example, you have 100 timelines from your birth to your death. From the time you come out of the room and until you die. You feel me? You got multiple timelines. Every decision you make severs one of the cords that are no longer viable after that decision has been made. For example, I was once in med school. I was planning to be a forensic pathologist. I was going down the route and everything. That timeline was very active. Every decision that I had made up until that point, from um, opting in high school to take the healthcare path, to taking the classes like health team relations, allied health 1, allied health 2, to go through doing internships with the police department and the forensic lab and all of these things. Those decisions were opening the door for me. They were doing certain things. That timeline was viable, right? Fast forward, I go to graduate in forensic biology, go to med school, take the MCAT, I do all of these things. Now I get into med school. The timeline, the decision making in the timeline is still lit to be the doctor, be the forensic pathologist. But then when I get in med school, there's a decision that I have to make. Fuck the first semester, because we all know I bullshitted. I played around. It was on the beach. I should not have done that to myself. I was young as hell. I was only 23. I was literally the youngest person in. Not only was I the youngest person in my no, I wasn't. I was the third youngest, because there was two people that were 22. I was 23. I was the third youngest person in my medical school class at 23 years old. But I was the youngest person to be able to get into med school just getting in. Some of the people that were younger than me, what they did was they went to this thing called MERP, right? MERP was like a preparation thing to get you into med school. They teach you how to think. Like they teach you certain shit. I didn't have to take that. I didn't have to do nothing. I went straight into med school. The only people that went straight into med school like I did after taking the MCAT and everything, they were in their 30s. I was 23. The only two people younger than me were 22 and they went to MERP. So I was an anomaly from the jump already. You dig what I'm saying? But my decisions had led me to that point, right? Every decision that I had made was for that moment. And after going through decisions, I had to sit and say, okay, bet. Now when I'm faced with a dilemma that will erase every decision that I made and make it feel like, yo, I just wasted my life. But these decisions that I'm making are creating certain situations, right? So med school, the decision to say, you know what, I'm done. I'm not going back. After my grandma got killed and I said, you know what? I'm gonna make the decision to make a lateral move. I'm gonna go get a master's, get my mind right, because a master's will be easier. And then I'm gonna go back to med school once I get my shit straight. Right? That was my decision. So I made the decision, ended up in Philly and everything like that. Then I had another decision to make. Either repeat getting the same curriculum, getting the quote unquote easy A's that they say, but still having to take out these loans because they're not giving me free money to get these easy A's, right? Or make a decision to leave because this is bullshit. I made the decision. The decision. Now, here's what trickled after that. Because for one side of my, like, your decisions have to be what you got to live with. And why by living with your decisions you make, it means you have to create a life out of that. I don't give a fuck what happens to you. This right here is for my brothers. Like, we on some real shit right now. I don't give a fuck what happened to you in life. I don't. I don't. Not from a morbid perspective, but because I went through shit in my life and life still goes on. You still have to continue to make these decisions. Don't let this shit, whatever happened to you, cripple you. I don't give a fuck if it was big or small. Don't let that shit cripple you. Don't let that shit stop you. Continue to make the decisions to create the life you want. You feel me? Create the life that you want. So walking away from it, everybody was asking me, like, so what you gonna do? What you mean what I'm gonna do? Like, how you gonna make money? How you gonna pay these loans back? You'll see. You'll see. I made the decision to write the books that I wrote. I made the decision to create the courses that I created. I made the decision to create the podcast. At the time, it was the YouTube channel and all of this shit. But I made these decisions to do these things because I said these things will be what pays all of this off. These things and these actions. Now, these decisions had to come with something on the outside of that, right? So I'm tying this in because I'm talking about entrepreneurship. Like I had to make the decision to transition out of employee mindset into entrepreneur mindset to make the money back for the school that I wasn't going to finish. That was a heavy decision. People cannot, when you make decisions for your life, everybody's going to tell you what you should have done, what you could have done, what they would have done with your decision. No, they wouldn't, because it's your decision. As you knew what you needed to do. Tying it back into what we were talking about in the beginning. Respect is to men with love. Every decision we make is to be respected. When you make a decision and people don't respect that decision, you feel like you made a wrong decision. Whether on the inside to your core, you know that it's right or not. If the people around, this is when it talks into people pleasing and shit. If the people around you don't support the decision you made, you feel like you made a bad decision, as opposed to feeling like I was not appealing to the people that I usually try to please. You would really psych yourself out to say, I made a bad decision because the people that I'm always doing shit for don't agree with my decision. Fuck them. Fuck them. That's your decision. You knew when you broke it down from the jump that it was working, that it would work. How did you psych yourself out? Because now you're trying to get reassurance from somebody who can't even see your vision. They can't even fathom your sight. And your decision-making skills is wired to the respect that you received from the people. Respect is to men what love is to women, but respect is not always going to be good. It's not always going to come with good shit. I've had people that I was literally beefing with, middle school, high school. We beefing, like we seen each other, but we respected each other. We didn't like each other, but we respected each other because we knew this motherfucker get with the shits too. I respect that you the motherfucker, that I'm the type of motherfucker. And I don't like you. You don't like me, but we got that level of respect there because of what we know we can do to each other, because of the decisions in the beef or whatever the case may be, the decisions that we made in our lives that led us to this point right now where we now coincide with each other, where we like each other, don't, whatever. That fucks with you as a reality as a man for the most part too, because on a bigger scale, everybody wants to be liked. So they teach you to behave a certain way in which you like. Behavior and respect do not garner the same realities. Behavior and decision making also aren't the same shit. You feel what I'm saying? When I was young, like real young, I used to have people ask me like, what compelled you to do certain shit? I felt like doing it. I don't give a fuck about consequences. This is why the slogan, peace, love, knowledge, and freedom is the capacity to do what you want to do and be ready to deal with the consequences. I've always had freedom. I didn't give a fuck about what was going to happen to it because I understood that my decision to make this, it's going to pay off in the long run. My decision to do this particular thing right now is going to work in the long run. I don't give a fuck whether or not you can see it. And as I got more into my alchemy and my own divinity and shit, it was like, oh, it works because I make it work. I figure out how to, like, there's no option. Like the decision making skills is the option to bring the future into reality. Only happens when you stop making your own decisions on the future that you wanted, that somebody else creates your future. When I heard that people say your greatest 4 years in life are undergrad, when I first heard it, I was like, oh, I could see that. But then I got disappointed because I think about the people that went to college, 4 years in college and shit, and those are the best memories of their life, and they in their 60s and 70s. Hey, bro, for real though, at some point, we got to stop talking to women about masculinity and start talking to each other about it. And I mean really talk to each other. Not as enablers and co-signers, but as men trying to reach the pinnacle of our essence. And that's what the So Frail series does. So Frail 1 is the definition. So Frail 2 is the acknowledgement. And So Frail 3 is the resolution. If you rock with the So Frail conversations, I can guarantee you will rock with the So Frail series of books. So visit IamJustSaying.com right now so you can add the series to your library. I promise you will never look at masculinity the same again, and you're going to stop wasting your time arguing with women about it. This is a conversation that men need to have between men, and it's time we start having this conversation now. That had me fucked up. I said, I'm not trying to be remembered 20, 30, 40 years of shit. Just, you feel me? As that's the last time I felt good in my life? Fuck no. Fuck no. But it came with my decision making. It came with my ability to make a decision, right? When I talk about where I am right now as an entrepreneur, I went through every level, the option, the choice, and then the decision making. Like the option was either you're going to go to school, you're going to go to the military. That was the only option available for me because at the time, because I didn't know shit. So I was like, I'm not going to the military because I'm too smart for the military. No shot to the motherfuckers who's in the military. But when I was in there, like, yo, you can get any job you want. And then, like you told me that, I'm like, I'd rather go to college. Should have went to the military. I ain't gonna hold you. Should have went to the military because I would have, been scot off. I would have been free. But I probably would not have became an entrepreneur. There's a lot of shit that I wouldn't have been. There's things that I factor in when I make decisions, and I'm gonna show y'all as we progress down this motherfucker. Like, people swear, yo, you all in your head. Get out of your head. Sometimes you're not in your head. You're making a fucking decision and you're processing the shit. Tell that motherfucker to shut the fuck up. Feel me? But anyway, when you're making certain decisions in life, you have to look at every aspect. What it's gonna be like? What would this decision do for me in 10 years? What would this decision do for me in 5 years? Right? For me, when I decided, okay, my options were either go to school or go to military. Right. The military was like, yeah, we'll pay for it, but it's like, yeah, it was the Navy specifically. They were like, you're gonna I was like, so can I graduate from the college I want to go to? Yeah, you can get your degree from there. But I was like, but can I go? No, you're gonna be on a boat with other men. No, that's the co-ed experience. I want to bust some guts. I'm going to college to have fun. Fuck you. I'm not about to be on a boat with a whole bunch of seamen. Pun intended. I'm not gonna do that. But I said, I appreciate you. I'm gonna go do what I do. So I go to college. That was the option. Those were only two options. The choice became to where it became making my choices like, okay, my option is college. So now my choice is what college? Either I'm going to go to a HBCU or I'm going to go to a PWI or I'm going to go to community college and transfer. There was different choices that I had to make. And I said, you know what? I'm going to an HBCU to major in forensic science, and that's it. Fayetteville State it is. That's the decision. You feel me? I made this decision when I was in my 11th grade year. I never forget. Was it my 11th grade year or my 12th grade year? I don't. It was one of those. It had to be 12th grade year because no. It was definitely 10th grade year because I never forget it. Cause her name was Ronika. She had the fattest ass in the fucking school. She was, man, like no bullshit. She was built right, and she was in my health team relations class. And she had mentioned Fayetteville State, and at the time I wanted to smash. I wanted to hit so bad. I don't know. Sometimes you don't know how the universe is working out, why certain seeds are planted a certain way, but I wanted to hit. And it was like, you feel me? Like we used to figure out that I would hit. I just never did. Like that was one of the ones that I couldn't get. But because she was older, she was a senior. I was a sophomore or whatever, And then she's like, and she's fucking with the dudes. Just got to come to pick her up. You feel me? So it's like, that's a whole different conversation. I'm talking about how I knew where I was. So by 10th grade, I knew I wanted to go to Fayetteville State. So by the time college going on, that's the only school I applied to. That's the only I knew, and I didn't even check to see if they had a forensic science curriculum. I just knew. I just said, yo, bet this was gonna happen. My mom, my aunties, my uncles, everybody, yo, try to go to everybody's Peter. I don't want to go where I'm not gonna be comfortable. I gotta learn. I done went to school for 12 years being around teachers that I didn't like and teachers that didn't like me. And everybody was, you're not there. I'm not about to be uncomfortable when I got to learn something difficult. Fuck y'all. So I'm going to Fed. But you can get this if you go to Duke, if you go to here. I don't care about none of that shit. I have to live with this. I gotta live with this. When you gone, when you're not here, when you're absent, like you're with yourself 24 hours of the day. Every second of the day you with you. You only with the motherfuckers that give you reassurance or give you their advice and shit for a small amount of time in a day. 8 hours already gone. Another 8 for sleep already gone. So there's only 8 hours a day that anybody can have influence on you. You feel me? At the time, I'm 17 years old, right? I'm working. So I'm working part time. Well, it's really kind of full, but part time or whatever. So most of my nights I'm working 5:30, 10 o'clock. So I'm not really talking. So it's usually weekends when I'm talking to the aunts and uncles and shit about like, y'all ain't got no influence on this. Y'all can't affect my decision making because what's going to happen is when I got to live with this decision and now I bring it back up to you and I say, you know what? I took your decision and this is the outcome to happen. Well, you ain't have to. It was just a suggestion on my part. Everybody wants to give suggestions when it doesn't work. You feel me? This is a part of decision making. People will influence your decision and then blame you when you follow. Like on Friday, when Smokey said, I ain't put the gun to your head and make you smoke it, Craig was like, might as well. Come on, Craig, get high. It's Friday. You ain't got shit to do. Why are you bringing up bullshit? But nah, the point that I'm making is that when people, in that moment, people will influence your decision. When you make that decision, they will bring it back to saying, I had nothing to do with that decision. You didn't have to listen to me. This is why we get fucked up a lot. Because we don't know. In one regard, we are allowed to be reassured by motherfuckers who can coerce our decision making. But then when we make a decision making, nobody's there to tell us, oh, nigga, this was you the whole time. I listened to you. I followed your decision. And now I'm miserable. You feel me? Now I'm not getting what I needed to get. I can't blame you because at the end of the day, I still made the decision. I still made the decision. Tying it back because I made the decision based off of your discretion because I was pleasing you and I wanted your respect from me. And if I took your decision and I became whatever I was supposed to become with it, you feel me? When I was in the MLM, there was a guy who was like, yo, you should look at the Temple University forensic science program. I said, why? Because I think I am done with school. I am done with forensic science. I am done with this shit. So the next day I was like, I'm good. He's all right. So then come back. Did you look into it? No, I told you I was good. Why would I look into it when I told you I was good? I would just yes, you wanted something for yourself. If I succeeded at the thing, if I made the decision that you suggested and I succeeded at it, you want to take the credit. Yeah, I put you in. But if I fail at it, then you're going to bring it back to me and say, what? You didn't have to choose it. You didn't have to make the decision. That's a lifelong lesson that I've learned that you have to, as men, for one, but as people as a whole, we have to learn to stop making our decisions based off another motherfucker's opinion and reassurance. Because when we make that decision, we are the only ones who have to live with that shit for life. For fucking life. I stayed with a girlfriend that was very toxic and bad for me because my mama liked her. I made the decision to stay with this woman because my mama liked her. Then after the breakup and shit, I'm like, well, I didn't like, you're my son. She was like, if I just because I like somebody doesn't mean that you made for him and shit. She was like, that was you staying in that. That ain't got nothing to do with me. She was right. It didn't. I made that decision. I made that decision. And I gotta live with it. I'm cool with living with every decision that I make. But as men, we have to make sure that it's a reality that works. So, like I said, I ended up going to Fayetteville State. That was a decision that I made. One of the best decisions of my life. I went to Fayetteville State. I met some good people. Fuck the breakup. I met some good people. I became Mr. Honors Hall. I got my confidence back in myself. I started, you know what I'm saying? I started interacting with, like, a lot of shit happened. I made solid decisions. Solid decisions that impacted my life and changed it forever. So on one hand, people are like, yo, you went to school for nothing. You were supposed to be a doctor, and now you're not even a doctor. You make podcasts and memes and you trade and shit. Like, you're not even a doctor. Ooh, look at what decision you made. Okay, cool. You think I wasted my degree, but I didn't. Because everything that I learned from forensic science, med school, all of this other shit is packaged into Hitting Raw. I don't give a fuck. Like, imagine this. All I have to do is run ads to sell the book that this into. Like, that's it. That's it. I sell 100 books a day and I'm profiting $5 a day, $500 off the books. I said, all I got to do is sell the books. My degree is used. I made this decision. This decision led to now. This is a part of living with the shit. This is why I'm making this point. This goes into living with the decisions that you make. Because true, while everybody was asking, yo, you got a forensic science degree and you're not even using it, I used it. My book, Hitting It Raw, Living a Raw Plant-Based Lifestyle, my course, the Hitting It Raw program, I don't got to add shit, subtract shit, do shit to those. I just have to sell them. which means I just have to keep them in front of people, right? Because I knew I'm not like my decision to walk away from this means that my life has to continue moving a certain way. You feel me? Without a doubt, my life has to continue moving a certain way. I can't just say, okay, I'm done with this, so my life is done too. No, because everybody was like, oh yeah, this is a part of your purpose. This is like my purpose may have been to be a doctor. My purpose may have been to be a healer, but it's different ways in doing that shit. But your decision to make these things, it's gonna come how you need it to come. So you feel me? Graduating with a degree in forensic biology, right? Now everybody like, how are you so good at science? Why you know science so well? Why can you like when it came to me making my herbal medicine? I ain't gonna call it medicine. I ain't gonna say that. When I made it, I started making an herbal multivitamin, right? I did this back in 2016. One of my friends, she had MS. She has MS, multiple sclerosis, right? She lost feeling in her entire body. I sent her a vial of it, told her to take two tablespoons, one in the morning, one at night, and then for the first 10 days, and after that, you just take one. This was literally all off the head. And it wasn't really off the head. Let me stop saying that because it was, I studied all of the material. I seen what by like, and it was just a matter of making a decision to put the shit together. And I did. Here's the decision that I made, and it worked. I wasn't shocked that it worked, but everybody was shocked that, like, how do you know? I just know, and then I know how to put it together because I know how to make a decision. I know how to go from an option to a choice to a decision. You dig what I'm saying? But I'm able to live with the decisions that I make. So what happens is when we create certain shit as men, when you put something out and it gets like, Erica Badu said, keep in mind that I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. We get sensitive about the decisions we make because now we can't go back. Once you make a decision, nigga, that's it. You can't go back from this anymore. You got to eat that and you got to live with that every moment of your life. Can you do it? You feel what I'm saying? When I learned to start looking at my decisions like that, you feel me? Before I make the decision. And now this ties into trading and investing in a way. I always got to have a shameless plug, but this ties into trading and investing because you have a decision to make. Am I going to buy or sell? Am I in the right direction? Am I going the right way? Am I willing to lose this? Am I going to gain this? That is a very important piece that you have to look at because that ties into your decision making. I know that there's a direct correlation between people who are successful in the markets that 95 to 5% are able to make a decision, the other 95 ain't. They base their reality off the decision of another motherfucker. 95% lose because they don't know how to make a solid decision. So, like I said, now you have to live with that decision. You feel me? How I teach in the Iwi, set your fucking stop losses, set your exits, and let that be the fucking trade. If it don't work, if you get stopped out or whatever, that you're done. Come back tomorrow. Don't try to recoup your losses, chase the market, none of that shit. Let it go. That was a bad decision. Now go back into your post-trade analysis. Look at the decision that you made. And because the only other option is the other way. If you made a buy, you got stopped out. You feel what I'm saying? It's because they were probably selling. Now, when you go back and you look at it and you say, what decision did I make? I made a buy, right? Now, you made the buy, get stopped out, then it goes in your favor. You're like, I got in too early. There's a way to know how your decision played out. So you know for the future what decision you need to make based off of this criteria, right? On a bigger scale with life, our decision making skills are so rooted within us as men that like I said, every piece of our life is about decision. Now, when you start to make these decisions and you're not thinking ahead of what this decision could be, you feel me? One thing that changed my decision making when it came to who I was fucking. I was 16 years old. By this time, I had been doing a whole lot of fucking. But my mama, we was talking. She was like, "You're changing and everything like that." I'm like, "I'm changing because I'm mature." Like, what? We don't like what? What you mean? But she knew I was having sex. But ultimately, she said, "I can't stop you, but I want you to do this. The next time you have sex, or anytime you getting ready to have sex, make sure you use protection. But look at that girl and ask yourself, do I want to have a baby with her?" My decision making changed in that moment because that had never been a factor in my decision making. When it came to who I'm fucking, it was never a decision. Can I have a baby with her? You feel me? And then even deeper than that, am I willing to spend 18 years with this person? Half of these broads, half of these women, half of these hoes, half of these ladies, half of these whatever the fuck you want to call them, goddesses and all that shit. Half of them, I don't even remember their name. A good 75% of them, I don't even know I didn't know their favorite colors. I didn't know shit. And I'm making a decision of creation, potential creation for at least an 18-year time pocket. Wow. A week is a long time with a motherfucker you don't like. 18 years? It's different. Changed my decision making because what it did was it allowed me to put myself into a perspective of, will the decision work in my favor? Right? That was initially. Then it was, after the decision is made, yo, how can I make this decision work in my favor? That is the art and the power of decision making. It requires discipline, which was the last week's episode, because discipline is what? Your capability or your capacity to decide on a specific choice, to continually decide on a specific choice. Your decision making is basically the forefront of that, or the aftermath of that, and your ability to deal with it. A lot of us have difficulty dealing with our decisions. By 30 years old, your decisions, by 30, 40 years old, your decisions are solidified in who you are. I'm 32 now. Every decision that I make has already made me the person that I am. My decision at 17 months old to run out in the motherfucking street to chase a ball got me hit by a car. That was a decision that I had to make. Was I ignorant to the fact that a car was coming? Probably so. Was I ignorant to the fact that I could be serious? Probably so. But I was 17 months old and I made a decision. I said, the ball is loose, run and go get it. Don't tell nobody go get my ball. Just, I'm going to go get the motherfucker. Got hit. You feel me? But what can you do with the decision after it's done? How do you live with it? You feel me? Luckily, it was young and I wasn't afraid of life anymore. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be petrified and avoid cars and shit. But I do have an innate, I ain't going to say innate because I wasn't born with it, but I have a deep, deep, deep seated fear of cars, which is crazy because it's like I always worked around them, not realizing that I was giving myself the decision to not be afraid of them anymore. I sold cars, I parked cars. Like, I was always around cars because I think that was a subconscious thing. It's like, yo, don't be afraid of cars. Whenever I cross the street, I look both ways like 20 times. Make sure, like, there can be a clear street. I'm like, never know, nigga, a car could just pop out the blue. And I never understood why I would always say that. Motherfuckers will laugh at me and be like, yo, car ain't just gonna pop up out of the blue. You gonna see it coming. I said, I don't know, bro. Sometimes cars just pop up. That's how I got hit. Like, the car just popped up. The fuck? But it didn't just pop up because it happened in the moment. It was me running out, decision run, bing, he ran me over. Right? Fucked me up. Did me pretty bad. Feel me? But I'm alive. You feel me? But the decision to do what comes next. You feel me? That was a different situation because as a kid, it's like, yo, don't run in the street. Now my decision making when it comes to cars and crossing streets and shit like that, or being in parking lots and shit like that, is pay attention to your surroundings. You feel me? Certain shit is gonna lead you to a new perspective of life. You dig what I'm saying? Now, when I got heartbroken, this is really the largely a piece of why I wanted to have this episode. Because when I got heartbroken, my decision making was different. You feel me? When I got played, when I got embarrassed, like, this is why a lot of men, a lot of us as brothers, this is really the core of why those podcasters are doing what they do. Why those motherfuckers hate women, why they say it's not women that we have a problem with, it's our decision making. It's our decision making when it comes to women. It's almost a one-to-one how we like women that are no good for us. I ain't even gonna just say women because I know y'all nosy, but people as a whole, we like what's not good for us. I don't know who programmed us for that shit, but we like what's not good for us. Opposites attract, all this other shit. We like what is not good for us. So a lot of the decisions that we make are what's not good for us. And we decide on that decision and then we internalize it as this is who I am. Right? So it fucks with our reality. So it's like, a lot of the guys who are in this space, they hurt, they mad, or whatever the case may be. It's women too, but this is so for real conversations. But a lot of those guys, they are largely men um who question their decision making skills. A lot of us to this day are still single because of our decision making skills. I know I am. I know it's gonna seem like, like, yeah, I made the conscious decision to say, let me become an entrepreneur first before getting in a relationship. Make sure I got all of my shit solidified, then go get in a relationship. Yes, it affected my decision making skills. You know why? Because other factors played into to me making the decision to practice celibacy, making the decision to put and solidify everything I need to, and then go out and find a relationship afterwards because of the relationship that I was in. Every woman that I know, social media wise, they say, yeah, a woman, she's gonna be with a man while he builds. She's going in theory, it sounds good. Because a woman, you got to think about it. They're speaking about the man that they envision as the perfect man for themselves, not your ass. I seen a post, right? One of my homies, they made a post and shit, and it was just like something about being thrown around the house. Like she need a man that's gonna be thrown. And I had to make the post on my side for the men. You know what I'm saying? Because like, bro, make sure it's consensual. You feel me? Make sure it's consensual. Now on that side, it's like, because I'm like, how the women are thinking about it. They have the man in their mind that they will allow, throw him to the wall, choke him, and do all like they have the man that they will give the pass for that to. In your mind, as the man, you're thinking about the woman you would do that to. Does she have those same feelings about you? If you single and that's not your lady, chances are she don't, because she don't know. You feel me? So it's a little bit of different. It's a little bit different approach. Your decision making has to be factored into that. So I'm saying that because in the moment, like everybody was like, "Yo, you can do that." I'm like, I don't want a relationship while I build. I don't. Never again. Because in the relationship that I was trying to build in, where I was like building my shit, but still trying to, women require too much. And I get it. A lot of women say the bullshit about, okay, this, that, but this is why I surround myself with women friends. I don't give a fuck what all of y'all talking about. Talking about this. I watch what I'm seeing my homies do. I'm watching how they get frustrated when the man is. I'm like, yo, y'all know he grinding for something else, and you want him to give you every ounce of his attention. Just save some time for me. The time that he's saving for you, you're saying is not enough. Right. So I watched that. So I made my decision off that. So now I built everything that I was supposed to build. Now I can go out and find a relationship and be with it because I know now what the fuck women need. My decision to be in a relationship has to factor in the fact that women need everything out of you to know that you ain't a fuck boy, you ain't playing all this shit. And the only way you can do that is if you can give them the time. But then in the same token, it's like you're not gonna get on my motherfucking time. I work too hard for this free time. I hope I'm not single forever, but I'm pretty sure that I'm not. You feel me? Time is ticking. But these are the things that I had that began to factor into my decision making skills. Now, here's why it is important to be able to live after you make the decision, whether it be a heartbreak, whether you get cheated on, whatever the case may be. After the decision was made, that is where the problem is because everything going forward predicates our decisions. I'm not gonna fuck with I'm not gonna fuck with these hoes because these hoes ain't shit. Not realizing that I'm attracted to ain't shit hoes. That's in our decision making. Somehow our programming and our decision making, we made the decision like to decide on ain't shit hoes. That's wild. And if we haven't decided on the ain't shit hoe, we're gonna bring the ain't shit out of her because this is, we catalyze it because this is our decision making. That moment that we make that decision, everything about our lives is affected by that decision. You feel me? For the future, it doesn't matter what happens. You never know what can. You feel me? I run into so many women that I been with in the past. I literally ran into a girlfriend one time. Could not recognize. I'm just in the line at Walmart, like, yo, hurry your ass up. She just staring. I'm like, hey, what's up? You feel me? She was like, you remember me? I was like, I can't say that I do. We went to school together, something, middle school, high school. I was like, we had to go to middle school because I would have remembered you in high school. She said, nah, we dated. We was girlfriend and boyfriend. I was like, for real? What's your name? She told me that. I said, damn. We damn sure did used to go together. Shit. But I didn't leave a bad taste in her mouth. I didn't get cussed out when she seen me. It was a good feeling because the decision, whatever decisions I made then, right? The life kept going to where those decisions led back to like, how did that person respond to you? You feel me? Every decision that I made in my life doesn't lead me to have, when I run into people again later, that we got beef with each other or we have a problem with each other because it's all in my decision making. But my decision making is whether I'm going to be able to live with. If we got a beef after I make my decision, I don't give a fuck because I can fight. I ran into an old homie who asked me about an old homie. And I was like, nah, after we fell out in high school, we ain't start talking again. I said, I'm only speaking to you because you spoke first, because you was in that shit. Oh, nah, man, we was young, man. I don't give a fuck. God forgives. I don't. I said, because betrayal is betrayal. Y'all got into some shit that y'all ain't had nothing to do with. Y'all didn't even know the depths of what the fuck we was, but that was a decision. That was a decision for that homie to make. We're not friends to this day, and we'll never be friends again. We can't be friends. We can't. I ain't trying to kick it with you, skate with you, nothing. You feel me? But I ain't got no problem with him. I just can't fix that. There's nothing that can, because of the decisions that were made. Now, mind you, a lot of the decisions that were made were childish, young, immature decisions, but they're permanent. That's another thing that gets us, because when we're programmed that boys will be boys, we do dumb shit. We do boyish shit that is actually, we do boyish shit that has manly consequences. As black men, we can't afford to do that shit. I get so sick of seeing y'all talking about, if the black man would have raped this woman, or a black man would have been did this, he wouldn't have got in trouble. I don't give a fuck. The morality is the morality. You can't want to be able to get away with making fucked up decisions in life. I don't give a fuck what white people do. I don't give a fuck what Asian people do. I don't give a fuck what Arab people do. I don't give a fuck what none of them do. I give a fuck what my people do. You don't get a pass for making a fucked up decision because you seen somebody else make the fucked up decision and they got away with it. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. All of that shit trash. But as men, we're afforded the luxury of being able to make fucked up decisions and passing it away as boys will be boys until we're black men. And then there's other things that have to happen. Like, your decisions should predicate your lifelong. The rest, your decisions have to predicate your life. When I tell people all the time, like, they'll say some shit like, we got the same 24. And I told y'all in the episode, I forgot which one it was, but I was like, I don't look at it as the same 24 anymore. I look at it the same 86. Every decision that I make is going to do something for my 86 years of life. Either it's going to shorten it, it's going to extend it. Either it's going to make it more impactful, or it's going to make it more, either it's going to make it more beneficial, it's going to make it more detrimental. But I have to be the one to deal with those decisions. In some way, shape, or form, I sit with my decision to see how far along it's going to fuck me up in the long run. I don't mean I'm going in it cynical, like, yo, what? I weigh the options out. In five months, okay, for example, when I wrote So Frail, right? I wrote So Frail off of a 5-year plan. I said, you know what? I want to have a book out, right? That's passive income, that's straight and shit. I didn't know a series was, well, I knew a series was going to come out of it, but I didn't know the series was going to be this good. I didn't know it was going to be this receptive, and I didn't know what was going to happen to it, but I had to make the decision to at least write the first one. When you consider decision making, right? When I tell people about opportunities, I talk about this in So Frail 3 in the victory section in the Tree of Life, where I talk about how you create your opportunities. You reach a point where you understand your decision making is actually what creates the opportunities that come knocking at your door. The decision to make it is the invite to send them to your crib to knock on the door, or to send them to the door where they're supposed to be going, right? My perspective of decision making really started changing with So Frail. I've made some new friends off of just the book, just the one book. So for one, I made new friends. I've done speaking engagements. I've been invited to places. I have built certain things just off of that one book. And that was a powerful decision to make. You feel what I'm saying? And it's crazy how the reverberation happens. That one decision, there's people right now. Shout out to my bro Pat. I'm gonna go ahead and give him his flowers. Shout out to my bro Pat. Pat has been through everything that I've done, from So Frail to inflate with inflation to pot. Low key, he be reminding me of some shit that I said in the podcast. I be like, I said that shit. I did say that shit. Damn, I did say that shit. It's little shit like that. That's like, so it's, you feel me? That decision to make that book has reverberated to something different, right? Just that book alone, hitting it raw, right now. Now, so like I said, let me give my bro Pat his flowers, right? So before I continue on, so Pat has been in everything from So Frail to the inflate with inflation community. Inflate with inflation community is literally the last thing that I've done. And he's a part of everything. He has all four of my books, um, my courses, just everything. It's just like, but these were off of a decision that I had to make. Now, here's where the reverberation now comes in, and now the opportunity presents itself, because it's like I said, when I wrote So Frail, right? Um, when I wrote So Frail, like it just started off as I'm writing this book, and what it has evolved into now is different because it's like the decision to write that book led to the decision to use masculinity, to show people how to use masculinity. Every one of my courses is about breaking down and getting to the principal core of certain information so that way there's no filler, no fluff, no bullshit that you have to get through. You can just get straight to the point. Analysis and deconstruction. So everything that I have to show is tied to this, right? So now that decision to write that book led to my first speaking engagement. You feel what I'm saying? My very, very first speaking engagement because I have made a decision. And I fathomed that, yo, I'm gonna do something positive with this, right? Led to the first speaking engagement. That speaking engagement led to the next speaking engagement because with that speaking engagement, it was like it's crazy how it worked out because I spoke at that one. My bro Pat was there. And then from that, it was like I went on to another one. And then my bro Pat was at that one. And it was just like the decision that you make to have a certain there's a I'm saying that because of how reverberation works out to where opportunities, develop. Because in that, in moving So Frail to what it is, and like I said, me and Pat's relationship is developed over time because of the decisions of that certain thing. And there's decisions that he's made on his side that, you know what I'm saying, that have aligned us, you know what I'm saying, to where now most of our conversations are about like we even do the book club and the e like there's a lot of shit that has transpired from that one book between two people. You feel what I'm saying? Because of the decision. You feel me? My decision to write it, his decision to read it. You feel what I'm saying? I'm using that as a dramatic expression of how the future. Now, I wrote the first book in 2016. We're in 2023 right now, right? This book is 7 years old. So for a one is 7 years old. No, it'll be seven in September, right? But within that time, there's a lot of that one decision segued the next. It gave me a positive expression of my decision making. Like I said, that's why what I was saying, like it took me about 20 to me from 17 to 23 to actually say, you know what, let me get back. But then from 23 to 25, I was getting my cleansing and shit right. But by 26, I've been making solid decisions ever since because I realized that in making decision, what I have to do as a person, I have to make sure that I am able to live with what I make. It's easy to make choices and sell them. It's easy to make, but to make a decision based off of it, like definitively, and be able to live with it. Not only live with it, like make the net. Like I'll say this, and I'll start to wrap it up. When it comes to my advertising and marketing and shit, when I first started, I was just boosting posts on Instagram. Boost. I sold some books and shit, but then when I learned how to set pixels and all this, I talked about this before. But to say, the decision to make every move that I made was for a reason, was for the longer picture. When I first wrote So Frail, publishing and everything like that, but then I had to learn how to market it. When I learned advertising and marketing, I was like, I'm not just learning it to sell this book. I'm learning it to sell anything. I can do what's it called? What's it called? I'm drawing a blank. Y'all help me out. Y'all fucking help me out. What is it, y'all? Y'all know what I'm trying to say. Uh Motherfucking network marketing. Affiliate marketing, that's what it is. So I can do anything as long as I know how to run an ad, get the right pixel to the domains and all of the shit. Like because I made a decision to own my own website. Everybody has, but when you look at the bigger picture as far as advertising and marketing go, I can make a landing page for it because I own the website iamjustine.com. I can make whatever landing pages I want, and then I can put just anything in it, and I can run and control the entire ad. So if I want, let's say I wanted to do affiliate marketing for somebody, I can create a whole page off of their shit and create affiliate marketing off my own website and capture all their audience, and then when they get paid, I get paid. You feel me? I looked at the bigger picture, the decision that I had to make. When I looked at trading and investing, when I learned that shit, a lot of people was thinking it was just for no. My kids are good now. I don't even have them yet. By the time my kids are teenagers, they're gonna know how to read a chart so fucking well. They're gonna be millionaires under 30 years old. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. All of my kids will be millionaires by the time they're 30. If that, you feel me? If that, because the way in which I made the decision to say, I'm going to learn everything about this. People don't understand what a decision really means. Because the decision, the moment you make the decision, two things emerge: accountability and responsibility. And every day you're going to have to make the choice of whether you're going to be accountable and responsible for the decision you just made. You dig what I'm saying? Every decision that I've made in life, now I'm at peace with, because I look at where I am right now and it's like, had I not have made that decision and made the subsequent decisions necessary to either move forward or move away from that particular thing, would not have gotten me here. You feel what I'm saying? So, in the strange convolution of life, our decisions are simultaneously, our I ain't gonna say simultaneously, our decisions are the only things that we really control. When people talk about how uncontrolled, how you can't control what you can't control, you can't control your decisions. You can control your decisions. In fact, your decisions are the only thing that you do control. And the control of your decisions controls your fucking life. But when you believe that you can't control your decisions, everything is an option or everything is a choice that you don't have any power over, you feel like you don't have that sovereignty over yourself to make and break anything in your life, your decisions will always be off. And then when you make a drastic decision, see, this is why everything always goes bad for me. So what you're really saying is, I always choose the bad decision. I always make the bad decision. When I looked at life like that, when it was time for me to heal from my relationship breakup, and it was time for me to heal from the trauma that I faced when I was from the 200th episode, when I was facing life in prison, when I look at these decisions, it's just like, at first I was on some, yo, this shit, I don't trust these hoes, fuck these bitches, because you feel me? They try to end me. But it was like, yo, you made a decision to be with these two types of women. These two, fuck the type. I ain't even gonna say the type. These two women, you made the decision continually. You didn't have to make this decision, but you did. You made the decision. And then once you make the decision, you make the life that comes with it. This is why people tell you you have to live with your decisions. How do you create life? Out of the decisions that you make. If every decision is bad, you're going to have a bad life. If all you can feel is that you make bad decisions, your life is bad. It ain't got nothing to do with a curse. It ain't got nothing to do with karma. It has everything to do with your decision making. The moment you feel like you can't make good decisions, you won't make good decisions. And if you don't make good decisions, you won't produce a fruitful life. But the moment you decide that I'm in control of my decisions, now the actions and the shit that you do on a regular basis, when you know that everything is fueled and connected to a decision that is going to do something for you in the future, you just don't know what, then you can sit back and say, if I trigger this decision, it's going to make me do this. When I started looking at the decisions that I made and I started to realize that my future is created, and I started creating my future and I started paying attention to my decisions, I was like, I'm only making decisions that create my future. Duh. When I look back and people were like, yo, you said this was gonna happen and it happened. I was just talking to one of my homies, and she was like, I've been following you for a long time. She was like, I just happened to buy Hitting It Raw. And she was like, that is a really good book and I like it. I appreciate it. She said, but she said, everything. She said, I've been following you for a long time. She said, everything you've ever said you were gonna do, you did. She's like, there's not a thing that you said you was going, and now you just chilling because you did everything you said you was gonna do. Cause it's decisions. Like that's the issue. When I started talking about this in So Frail 1, I was talking about how you have the alphas, the betas, and the epsilons, right? The alpha male is the person who talks about what they have done or what they're currently doing. The beta is the one who talks about what they will do or what they want to do, or like something like that. But then the epsilon is just what people have to do for them. Read the book. I forget it off the top of the head. It's been so long. But the point that I'm making with that is that it's like, the core wasn't about alpha, beta, and epsilon. I wasn't getting to that point. It's about all of those are about decision making. You can't call yourself an alpha high value man if you do not know how to make good decisions. When people look at entrepreneurship, that's all an entrepreneur is. A motherfucker who made good, profitable decisions. You feel me? But it takes time to be able to make decisions. It takes self-awareness. It takes self-love. It takes self-understanding to be able to make a sound decision, especially after you've been making bad decisions. But your life is not an accident. Your life is not out of your hands. Your life is in control. You're in control of your life by the decisions that you choose to make. Everybody talking about, yo, I talked to a dude who had choices. When I was young, it was our choices that it wasn't our choices. Me and some of the homies that I like, we made the same choices in life, but we didn't make the same decisions. That's where things were different. We literally made the same choices in life, but we didn't make the same decisions. When we made the same choices in life that resulted in nothing happened to us, that's because we made a decision that factored out to me in a sense that because I didn't have a I did have a I don't give a fuck attitude. Let me say that, but I still was a decision maker. You feel what I'm saying? I couldn't just say it. Nah, 'cause I got to deal with the consequences. Ain't no YOLO for me because you only die once too. This decision can either be every decision that you make in life is either going to make you live or make you die. That's it. I know that's extreme, but look at it like that. If I make this decision right now, it's either going to add life or add death. The food you eat, the shit you drink, the way you drive, every decision is going to be a determining factor whether you live or die. If you know this, I have an episode on this a while back that you create your own death by the decisions that you make. A lot of people don't think like, oh, I didn't walk out and get shot like no, you created a world, a series of decisions, and it's so subtle, but it's so grand. A series of decisions led you to this moment, whatever moment you're in. The person that you are right now is just a series of decisions that you made. If you do not like who you are right now, it's because you do not like your decisions. If you do not like your decisions, you likely don't like your decision making skills. If you love your life right now, you are cool. You are comfortable with your decision making. You are proud of your decisions. And you are good at making decisions because you sit with the actual option of the choice and you create the decision and you deal with everything that comes with decision. Not only do you live with the decision, you make life out of the decision. Not everybody can do that. So when they tell us to sit and think before you act, nah, it ain't thinking before you act. It's understanding before you decide. Because when you fully have the understanding for the decision and you make the decision, you make more fruitful decisions. When you make more fruitful decisions, you extend a new life out into the world. You feel me? And your entire life becomes that. The future is not hard to create or predict. You feel me? All you have to do is continue to make the same decisions. As my brothers, we know that our decision making is tied to our respect, right? We have to figure out one, what do we want to be respected for? Right? Find out what you want to be respected for. Okay? Then make the decision every single day to do that. And then from the decision that you make to do that, create the life that you want to live off of living with those decisions. And don't forget to check out Cafe Clothing, formerly Just Scenes merch. Get all of your intricate designs crafted specifically for the melanated being to develop a positive imagery within self and to have a little bit of fun in the process. From the peace, love, knowledge, and freedom to the dead horses and water designs, all the styles are crafted for the imagery to make you feel as you're supposed to feel. Because as I always say, the best way to fit in is to stand out. And what better way to stand out than with your exclusive styles from Cafe Clothing. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and end it on that note. That's decision making. My brothers, I felt like we need to have this conversation because it's like a lot of us suffer with this. I know brothers that do because it's like there's so much that comes down to us when making a decision. We can't be wrong. We can't be wrong. Every decision, and then it's like when you having a family, every decision comes down to you. Every decision that they make, if you're the leader of that family, they decisions affect you and you got to clean up and you got to fix and you got to do what you got to do with those decisions, bro. Think about that. The decisions of other people are on you when you're the leader. Motherfuckers really want to be the leaders of the black community. Fuck that. I don't want that. I get it. They tell me, some few are chosen, but some are called. Like, you feel what I'm saying? I didn't choose this life. You feel me? The guys, the ancestors, God, Jehovah, Krishna, Buddha, Allah, Jesus, whoever, they put me in this position. I didn't ask for it, but I'm here. You dig what I'm saying? But those people who want this, you have to literally deal with the decisions of your people. All of the decisions of your people have to factor in for the decision that you have to make. You feel me? The decision to remain in a certain masculine space is a decision that I had to make. To realize, y'all, we can't rock with this no more. That's a decision. Can you live with that decision? One of the hardest decisions that you have to live with is spirituality is a hard decision to live with. A lot of people know their spiritual system is fucked up, it's trash, and it ain't real. But they've held on to it so long they can't make any other decision. It's different. And like I said, as the man, you're the leader. You the head. You protect and provide. But you can only protect and provide according to your decisions. Because nobody's going to, can you live with that? Can you literally live with the decisions that you make? Ask yourself that every morning, every day. When you about to make a decision, get familiar with asking yourself, can I live with this? You feel me? When you about to go to Starbucks and you about to pull up in Starbucks and you about to get that venti, I think that's what they call it, the venti coffee, frappuccino with all of that sweet shit in it. It's not even coffee no more. You're drinking coffee flavored caramel syrup. That's what you're drinking. You're not drinking coffee no more. All that cream and shit like that. It stopped being coffee a long time ago. You feel me? Ask yourself, what will this decision do to me in 5 years? Possibly diabetes, pre-diabetic, low A1C levels. Like, there's little things that you got to get to that. I know. Nobody wants to think that morbidly. That's why I say masculinity is gone in this world. Because analysis and deconstruction don't give a fuck about your feelings. It's like, let's analyze and deconstruct. Your decision. Your decision is what controls your life. How you will make a decision is what is in control of your life. It's not a deity. It's not a demon. It's not a dark force. It's you and your fucking decision-making skills. That something just told me to say that's your decision-making skill. When you lack a decision-making skill, now you have to pray for a deity to do. Like, when I look at people who say, I'm going to pray for this deity to solve this problem or to give me the answer, give me the clarity, give me all of this, give me this, that, and the third, they struggle making decisions. And I watch how their lives play out. Because when their lives play out with them struggling to make a decision, their life stays stagnant. Because a decision is making it in a prompt way. When you can make a decision in a prompt manner, you feel me? But if you have to decide, when you're thinking about deciding something, you have to pray to deity. You're going to have to wait a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks for that to happen when it could have happened yesterday. Because you can't make a decision, there's a problem there. There's a huge problem there. And as men, like I said, everything about our foundation, our status, our public, is all based off of our decisions. That's humanity as a whole. Who you are is the sum of your decisions. When I was in Fayetteville State, they gave us this, like, our quote, school quote was res non verba, deeds, not words. But your actions are predicated by your decisions. So your actions are just the imprint of the decision that you made. How deep are your actions? Actions speak louder than words because there's a decision there. I'm making a conscious decision to decide. Now, when I strengthen my decision-making skills and I add discipline to it, and then I become disciplined with these, I'm a cold motherfucker because I only make the right decisions. A lot of people don't think it's cool. Now, a lot of people don't think it's true. Oh, everybody's going to fuck up in life. Yes, you fuck up in life until you figure out where you fucking up and why you fucking up, and you don't fuck up no more. It pisses me off when people say shit like, oh, we're human. Humans have flaws. Humans has this. I get it. Humans are flawed, but humans also have a brain to recollect the past to see what the fuck is happening to them. If I know that this particular decision has fucked me up 7 times out of the 8 times that it happened to me, I'm not going to continue with that decision again. But if I do this again and I want to get back and I want to keep doing this decision, I didn't learn the fucking lesson. So I'm blaming my own incompetence on the fact that I'm human. Oh, because humans can make mistakes. Humans make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Is it? Is that really the real case? Because when it's all said and done, we're the sum of our decisions. If we make the right decision every time, then are we wrong? No, because well, you can make the bad decision, but when you make the bad decision, can you bring life out of it? That's the whole point of all of this. Living with your decisions. After you make that decision, can you live with it? Not just, oh, I can accept it. I can wipe my hands clean because I did the best I could, or I did this, that, and the third. No, 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 no. Can you live with that decision? Can life be produced out of a decision that you made? Because when you do that, you now have to be responsible for onus. Onus is both the blame and the credit, right? It ain't just guilt, right? You have to in moving into your personal identity. In order to do that, you have to take onus first of things. That's why they tell you when it's something that you own that shit. And then now you have to decide, am I going to be prideful of it or I'm going to be ashamed of it? Neither. Because both pride and shame come before destruction. They're the same shit. But you have to understand where this is and don't let this affect your personal identity. When it affects your personal identity, it affects your ability to make decisions. Because you think your decision making is going to be something, you think your decision making is going to transform you rather than you're going to transform the decision. If I do this, it's going to make me look like this. You know how many motherfuckers, I'm going to say this and I'll wrap it up. You know how many motherfuckers won't do shit publicly because they scared to look stupid? They scared to look stupid. The motherfucker ain't stupid. The motherfucker's well learned in everything that they do, but they're scared to look stupid. Halting your progress by making a decision based off of how you're looking in a moment versus how you're going to be for the rest of your life is a powerful sentiment. How many motherfuckers are petrified with life and they will not do certain things in life because of how they're going to look? Your decision making skills are all fucked up. This is why you now get reduced to options. Because the motherfucker who was already willing to look stupid, they already made the decision to create the options to give it to the motherfuckers who don't want to look stupid. And the motherfucker who actually went stupid and the motherfucker who was actually bold enough to look stupid never looked stupid at all. Mm, plot twist. And I say that to say this because when I look at when I look at not hitting it raw, when I look at the master in the market course, when I look at the inflate with inflation community, when I look at how I put all of this together, I wasn't afraid to look stupid. And because of that, I look very intelligent in these motherfuckers. Do I still lose? Yes, I do. Because like I said, certain times you can be trading daily 1 hour. That's what we trade. And a weekly motherfucker can kick in midway. You don't know. You don't know when that person's gonna kick in. So it's not always 100%. But when you're chilling with the 5% and not the 95, you good. And when you're able to do it in all realms, you good. But I had to go through the process of looking stupid. Because see, looking stupid is deeper than just looking stupid because a lot of people start to feel stupid when they look stupid because they don't know. There's a lot of shit about the markets that I didn't know that I hadn't known that I know now. And there's a lot of things that a lot of people don't know and they feel like if I don't know, then if I they feel like if they don't know, they can't make an informed decision. And you can't. You seen what happened with COVID? Nobody made an informed decision. Well, anybody who got jabbed didn't make a informed decision. You couldn't have. You picked an option. Do I want Moderna, Pfizer, or Johnson and Johnson? Well, Johnson and Johnson couldn't even get baby powder right. The fuck they gonna give you a vaccine? Whatever. This was different. But at the end of the day, it all boiled down to decision making skills. As men, we need to be more confident in our decision making skills. We need to stand firm in our decision and understand that that is what's going to propel us to that next level. Naturally, your ability to make decisions and live with those decisions. You stop making stupid decisions when you are actually accountable and responsible for the decisions you make, and you start to realize how much they can affect you in the long run. You stop making stupid decisions, or you get petrified with life and you just stop living at all. But if you continue to live, you start to make sounder decisions. You feel what I'm saying? Now I talk to people who say shit like, "Yeah, I remember when you was young, you used to always buy new shoes like every week. You used to always have a new outfit, new fitted, all this shit. Now all you wear is the same old shoes from 3 years ago. You got jogging pants, and you wear your Pala Cafe sweaters and shit like that. But you don't never go shopping. You don't never do nothing like that because I'm making the decision to stack this paper. When I buy shit, I buy shit. I'm not doing this rental shit no more. I'm not doing this fucking these monthly I'm not doing that shit. What Drake say? I don't worry about paying. I just go straight to who got it and buy it in cash. That's the type of time that I'm on right now. But a lot of people can't see that because they never made that kind of decision in their life. Imagine this goes into the reassurance and advice. Imagine talking to motherfuckers who have never made the decision. Fuck living or doing or experiencing what you're talking about. They never made the decision you're about to make, and you're taking advice from them. If you don't take nothing else out of this episode, stop making your decisions off the reassurance of people who could not make the decision that you're making or trying to make. When I talk to people about creating an online course, I'm not talking to people who have never created an online course. When I was getting ready to create my online course, I wasn't talking to people who had never created an online course before. Why the fuck would I get advice from you on that? Because you have never made the decision to make an online course. So with you not making the decision, there's things that you're not gonna be able to show me. You can give me the reassurance, yo, that would be a dope ass idea. But have you ever made the decision to understand where my mind is at right now with this? No. With that same token, stop taking shit to heart when people critique you have never done what you've done. I got homies right now who say, "Oh, yo, you didn't listen to my advice. You didn't give me advice. You gave me reassurance." And you have never made a decision that I'm trying to make. You feel me? I got one homie who I be like, I want to run something by you. They be like, all right, give me everything. I be like, all right, bet. Run down everything my every choice that I have. When I'm giving people choices, I'm telling them the choice that I can make. It's like, yo, all of these work. So I had one homie. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna wrap it up. I had one homegirl. I used to always run it by her, like, yo, what you think? You feel me? Give her my choices. And one day she told me, she said, all of these work. I said, I know. That's what I'm asking you. She was like, use them all. I was like, I can't. I can only use one. Well, which one works the best? I was like, I don't know. They all work good. You feel me? So she was like, just pick. You decide. And I was like, I know to decide. But if somebody else decides for me when all the choices are equal, it's easier for me. But then from what she said, it was like, she broke it down like this. You're at a new point in your life where you have to get out of your own head because every choice that you're going to make is going to be the choice that'll be beneficial for you because you have practiced making beneficial choices for so long you can't make a bad one. So when it's time to make a decision, the decision is going to work for you, but it's which decision you're going to choose to work. Like right now, if when it comes to running my ads, right, I could run whatever ad I want to and just say, you know what, this week or this month, I only want to sell hitting raw books. I don't want to sell anything else. I can do that. You feel me? The next month, I can say I only want to rock with hitting raw. That's it. Well, I just said hitting raw, didn't I? I did. So the next month, I say I don't only want to rock with so frail. I can do that. I run everything. And I broke down each campaign strategy as I was looking at like all of these motherfuckers work. This is where scaling comes in. But it's like all of these motherfuckers work. Which one do I want to go with? All of them. Now just let them run all on autopilot. The decision is done. The hard work, everything that the choice was already like. See, that's the thing. Like if you read Sofer 3, I break down choices, like, and that's why decision is hard because a choice is the everything that you create to decide on. Taking it back to the food example, if you decide I want this burger, but I want to make it myself, and I know I need this season, I need it. Now the decision is how do I want to make it? When I make French fries and shit, I don't fry them. I bake them, right? Because you don't want to fry at water because that's all roots are. Potatoes are roots. Roots hold water. You don't want to fry water. You don't want to put water in oil. So I bake my shit, right? Now it's like I have a decision. Do I eat them plain? Put some ketchup on them? Do I season them with some seasoned salt? Or, you know what I mean? Do I use regular salt? Like, how do I want to season these? Like, what decision do I have to make? Now, if I'm taking the same consideration, I'm like, yo, I want some fries, right? What kind of seasoning do I want? Do I want seasoned salt or regular salt? Okay, I have options. Do I go to Bojangles or do I go to McDonald's? Bojangles is a southern thing, so I don't know where y'all at, but Bojangles, they put like a pound of seasoned salt on your fucking fries, bro. Shit's crazy. But it's different fries. One uses salt, one uses seasoned salt. They have different levels of seasoning. So now you have to pick an option. You see what I'm saying? But when you're making a decision, it's different because you're not going out to an outside source. Everything is within, and now you're creating the choice, and now you're making the decision, right? And then when you apply that to all your life, then from the decision making, once you start to solidify your decision making skills, right? Then you can go into being accountable and responsible, right? Because it's easy to, because being responsible is responding to your abilities, being accountable is keeping a record of your ability. You feel what I'm saying? Basically. So if my decision, I respond to the ability of this decision that I made, right? In responding to that ability, I now have to keep a recordation of what this ability did. So I know to do it again or not to do it again. That's how decision making works. So when you're responsible and accountable for your decisions, then you start to reproduce the positive feelings. It's like, yo, I like what this decision gave me. I'm going to repeat a similar decision or a decision like this. Now, when I'm accountable and responsible for it, I can just duplicate the process without thinking about it. And then it strengthens my decision making skills. That is one of the biggest things that affects us as men because our decision making skills are tied to our respect. What we do is going to be what determines our respect. When we're respected these days for being homosexual men, for being we're respected for being homosexuals, respected for entertaining and buffoonery. The shit that we get respected for is that's gonna govern our decision making. So then what we choose to do when we realize that respect is what we have to figure out first, right? We have to realize that the decisions that we make, we have to respect those decisions. And we respect those decisions by making the decisions and living with them and seeing what fruitful things we can create. If we're not creating anything, we're destroying. So if we're creating and we're making the decisions that lead to creations, then we know that we're making sound decisions. And if we know that we're making sound decisions, what we can now do is internalize within ourselves that I respect this about myself because I made this sound decision. The respect that you seek out of this world will be a reverberation because what you respect within yourself based off the decisions that you make will make you continue to make those decisions to meet people who respect you. We got to teach that to our boys early, right? So go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And our sons, make sure that we teach them the art of decision making and how to respect themselves for the decisions that they make. Once they respect themselves for the decisions that they make, they get the confidence to continue making sound decisions, being accountable and responsible for those sound decisions. When they are accountable and responsible for those sound decisions, they respect themselves and then they can reverberate and find the respect outside of themselves. The rest of this world is easy after that. Then you can easily analyze and deconstruct because you know that you analyze and deconstruct in a way that's going to lead to the decision that is going to allow you to move according to accountability and responsibility. Once I'm in that space, I can learn to respect myself because I know I am accountable and responsible for the decisions that I made that makes me respect myself and respect who I am, which is by default going to make people respect me for what I do and put me in a circle and recognize only the people who can respect me for what I do. And then it works out. That's what we need. We need to make sure we get our decision making skills straight first, though. Feel me? And like I said, all of this is in Frail 3. So that part is definitely like make sure you understand how to make a choice. When you get to that point of mental, spiritual, of self to be able to make a choice, your life changes. Be able to live with the decision that you make and see how far off into the future this decision could affect you. And then start to compensate for that and move accordingly. But that's all I got for y'all. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And I'm going to see y'all all on the next one. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.